hurts to see a partner suffer. It hurts to see a loved one suffer, especially when you know there's nothing you can do about it. That is one of the most painful experiences you can have, and I don't wish it on anybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to take a minute of your time to tell you the story of my life.
For those of you who don't know me, my name is Suli Breaks. I'm a person who tells stories through performance, particularly spoken word, through content, and through my written work, where I'm also known as Solomon. I didn't even want to make this video today because I've got trust issues. Because I woke up this morning, looked at my wife like, all suspicious. Because if the Dallas Mavericks can trade Luka Doncic, no relationship is safe. Today, I want to talk about what brings people together. You know, I think sometimes people talk about things like love languages, you know, a person, what's it called? Attachment styles. I haven't read these books, but I'm familiar with the subjects vaguely, you know, and they all have their merit. But I think sometimes a lot of our conversations focus on the individual, you know, and having been in a relationship 16 years, 10-year wedding anniversary this year, bare pressure on me because me and my wife take it in turns. So this year is for me to plan the celebration, and I got the big 10-year one. If you guys have followed my journey from the start, I've been with the same amazing woman the entire time, you know, and she's supported me in ways that I can't even begin to describe. But what I've realized in that experience is that relationships are not just about me or I. It's about how do you find that middle ground between the we, you know? So I want to tell you a story that made me realize there's another layer to this whole like love languages or relationship thing that we don't fully appreciate sometimes. It's 2010 or 2010, however you want to say it. It was about 15 years ago, crazy. About a year into me and my wife's relationship. And we get results for examinations at the time we just finished uni. And she's just failed one of the biggest exams of her life. You know, and this is like tears, pain, devastation, you know, and as the partner, I've only known her for a year, but I want to see her happy. So we take long walks followed by longer phone calls, but none of it seems to work. And what starts to happen is she starts to retreat deeper and deeper into her shell. It hurts to see a partner suffer. It hurts to see a loved one suffer, especially when you know there's nothing you can do about it. That is one of the most painful experiences you can have, and I don't wish it on anybody, you know, whether it's your spouse, whether it's your parent, whether it's your child, watching them suffer and knowing that you don't physically have the power to remove the pain away from them is so difficult. Particularly because I hadn't seen her this hurt or devastated since we started in this relationship. So with my wife, she's a very like dutiful like Christian when it comes to her faith, you know. One of the things that actually attracted me to her initially was her relationship with her spirituality and her faith. So what was interesting was at this moment in time, she usually turns towards like God or the church or whatever, you know, in a way to empower herself. And this conversation is not to justify or discuss the merits of how interfaith or different faiths relationships can work, etc. If you have opinions on that, I completely respect them. This probably not the video for that. And if you have the time, you can go away and discuss it with your people and you guys can come to your conclusions about that. But that's not the purpose of this video. This is about two people coming together in a moment of despair. So at the time, I'd never been to my wife's church. I've been to church many times in my life. If you've read my posts about my grandma, she was like a big influence on me growing up. And I used to go to church with her regularly. You know, she helped found the church, you know, so a lot of my family are Christians. I've been to church many times, but I'd never been to my wife's church. It's not that I had an aversion to it, but we just wasn't at that stage in a relationship where I'd be like, I want to go to the church. But I kind of realized the significance of that relationship for her. She needed something that she believed in, and she needed the faith that carried her through. And I felt like as her partner, it was my job to help provide that. So what I did was I called her and I was like, yo, this Sunday we're going to your church. Obviously, she was like, what do you mean we're going to the church? My church, why would you go to church? I said, listen, yo, this Sunday, I know you haven't been church, or you haven't been feeling yourself, or you've kind of felt neglected or let down, but I want to go to church with you. And she was like, reluctantly, okay, cool, come true. So I went to her church, the church she's been to since she was a child. And I'll tell you this, like, no miracles happened during the service. No one called anyone to the front and said, I know you failed an exam, so now this will be... Nah, it was none of that stuff. And to be honest, nothing even happened in the following week or the week after that. But what did start to happen slowly, she started to come out of that cocoon that had threatened to swallow her confidence. So not only did she shrug off that failure and get her first graduate job as a result of it, and get many others and, become accomplished and successful, something happened at that moment. It was the first time we'd overcome a personal challenge as a couple. We were no longer like individuals cheering one another on from the sideline. I felt like at that moment we truly became a team. And that is when I understood the concept of companionship. When I talk about companionship, I feel like a lot of relationships operate in an individualistic nature. Two individuals come together and they keep trying to make their individual identities override one another. Your identity is important, but when you become a team, it's how your identities blend together. Oh, this is why I want to talk about the 5 love languages a little bit. Sorry, my battery died, so it disrupted my flow a little piece. We all know the 5 love languages, like Tumblr has them memorized like Taylor Swift tour days. But basically the 5 love languages, there's quality service, acts of affirmation, receiving gifts, acts of service, quality time, words of affirmation, receiving gifts, physical touch. Yeah, physical touch. I knew them somehow. I know acts of service because that's my wife's specific way she likes to receive love or our relationship. She likes to feel appreciated. I think that's what the love languages are good at. They're good at making you feel like appreciated as an individual. The problem I find with these concepts is that it's always me, me, me. We live in a world where it's like, I don't need you. I've got my own. I can do this by myself. You're always one scroll away from finding something that makes you happy. So what we've ended up doing is we've ended up killing the we and put so much emphasis on the me. Relationships crumble because of me, myself, I. The current trend in the world is to put me before we. But most relationships survive because of people who have prioritized the we, the us, the team. Couples will come around and they'd say to me, it doesn't make me happy. This is not what I want. Let me tell you something for real. Whether it's your mother, sister, brother, sibling, best friend, it's very dangerous to make another person responsible for your happiness. How you feel the me, someone can contribute towards that, but you need to take priority over that. You need to take priority over how do I make myself happy, and then ask that person to help create space for that happiness. But I don't think you should blow up the entire team like the Dallas Mavericks because of what you want. No, that's my personal feelings just coming out. Look, and I understand there's certain situations where you have to remove yourself. There's certain situations where the me, the individual inside you will die if you stay in that situation. I understand that. But in a good relationship, that individual is allowed to flourish within the context of the team. Just like Luca was. I think every couple should strive for a purpose. I feel like relationships start to fall apart when these purposes get misaligned and people start to go in different directions. A marriage with a mission strives to stay on course irrespective of the challenges that come in the way. And once again, I reference the parents, our immigrants' parents or children of immigrants. You can very much see with the people that raised us, dealing with all the circumstances they were dealing with, coming from different backgrounds, removed from situations, their own family, their mission of maybe raising the children or finding themselves in this new world was one of the things that allowed them to keep going. And I'm not saying these relationships are perfect by any means. I'm just saying that maybe there is something we can learn about that ability to strive and remain united in face of adversity. Adversity is going to come in your life. It's going to come in your relationship. That's life. You lose things in life. But I think when people lose sight of the mission and the purpose, that's when it becomes a problem. Ultimately, I feel like overcoming obstacles breeds love. It breeds a strong relationship. It's not about the outcome, it's about the process. I think that sometimes people fall apart because they forget what they've been through. And sometimes it's the absence of tribulation, not the presence of it, that actually forces relationships to fall apart. If you think about it, sometimes when things are going so good, and I don't want to make this religious or in any capacity, but that's when people don't pray. It's easy not to pray. It's easy to pray when things are going wrong and things are going tough, and you're like, I need some deliverance. And I think sometimes in a relationship, we get comfortable, we get complacent, and we forget what we've built and where we're going, and that really damages a relationship. And that's why I think companionship is such a key focus. If you enjoyed this conversation, you can read the full version of it on my newsletter. If you do enjoy my spoken word, come and see me live in London. And if you do want something tangible, a way to connect with what I'm doing, I have 2 books at the moment. One's about business. One is about the book you wish you had read before marriage. It's one of the essays from my newsletter. And they're always available in ebook, digital, etc., etc. Big love, bless.